All right, I think we're live. Let's go. I'm here first. Fake fans to the back. What up, Morants? Thank you for being here right off the bat. Much appreciated. Just get organized here. Just finalizing. Switch it over so you can actually see me. Hello, hello. Hope everyone's doing well. Whoop. There we go. Or should we rock with this one? Nah, we're going to go here. Okay. Thank you guys so much for being here. Today, I'm going to try and go through the 10Q, line by line. Did I get the filing right? Yes, 10Q. That's for Q1. So I was trying to look at all the different numbers today and just kind of get a glimpse at it, but I really haven't gone through it entirely. So I have it there, but I actually already have it here. So I'm really going to try and just mark this up line by line, and just try and start doing this every quarter and just start building consistent habits. So I always do like an earnings reaction, predictions for the following quarter, all that kinds of stuff. Kind of like analyzing GameStop my own way every time, but just see how it goes, right? So I'll definitely start with the balance sheet today, but let me hit the chat first. Of course, Morants, thank you for being here. Biggest of homies. Raider Bo, thank you for being here. Appreciate you. Dope Cho, what up? Let's go. Translation for Morants. Let's fucking go. Exactly, exactly. Jackson's, what up? What up? Thank you for being here. What would another Ryan Cohen buy do for the stock? Honestly, anything in the short term. I think long term, it just devotes more and more confidence to the individual investor that the guy running the company, the captain of the ship, however you want to view him, I love how I'm just thinking about how CNBC calls him Daddy Cohen, or like, oh yeah, everybody calls him that. It's just like a meme, and like they make it so dramatic. It's just hilarious. But regardless, I think that vote a lot of confidence to individuals, and it would be extremely bullish. What could the price action be? I don't know. I feel like you truly can never know, especially with GameStop. But I think it would be positive short term. But could they just knock it right down in terms of stock price after? Who knows, right? Who truly knows? Xbit, what up? Thank you for being here. Chris, what up? Thank you for being here. Can't sleep, won't sleep. Can't stop, won't stop GameStop. That's how I roll. Pam, what up? Thank you for being here. Hey, haven't been here in a bit. Let's fucking go. Well, welcome back. You're here now. That's good. Joe, what up? Thank you for being here. Oh, let me tweet out this stream real quick, and then we'll be really rocking and rolling. Yeah, I didn't put a new thumbnail either, but I just got home from work, getting organized. Gotta be quick. Sorry I was late as well. I do apologize for that. Okay, just tweeting this out, and then we're going to start going through here. Also got the coffee going, gotta stay hydrated on that liquid caffeine. All right, so the stream is now tweeted out, so we can get rocking and rolling here. So looking at the balance sheet first, wait, this is the wrong one. Just realized that. Or we can just search it like this. Oh, 23, perfect. Okay, so we'll get rid of 22 so we don't get confused, because it'll also have 22's information. Wendy, what up? Thank you for being here. Hey, Tetron, hope you're doing well. Linda Real, thank you for popping in. I'm doing well, thank you. Yes, just trying to improve, day by day, but hope you're doing good too. Right, so what I did for myself today to try and hopefully keep this a little bit more organized for myself, a couple different things. First, for going through today's information, I made myself a little itinerary, kind of just each thing I'm going to go through, what's on each page. So first, obviously, we have the balance sheet. And the first thing I want to write that stands out to me is maintaining a strong cash balance, especially having no debt. So I'll just put that here. Just kind of, some thoughts. Not exactly sure what I'll do with this, but mostly just probably to look back on, honestly. Consistently. So since Ryan Cohen took over, Barclays Securities, high interest government notes. So definitely, I want to see the company continuing to, whoa, why did that just happen? All right, so not sure what's happening there, but if anything, I'll fix that later. Yeah, not going to worry about that too much. But overall, I want to see the company continue to maintain a strong cash position and marketable securities because, in general, that's obviously what you want to see from a company in growth mode because you don't want high interest debt especially in a high interest rate environment. So overall, I want to see cash to debt remain strong. I don't expect them to take on any more debt. Just continuously pay down this loan. As you can see here, it's still on the balance sheet, but again, very limited, and the interest rate is literally like 1%. So it's better off just earning on your cash and marketable securities and just paying the loan as slow as possible because you'll literally earn more with your cash for the time being. Oh, gotta get a all chat going, make sure everything's good here. But I wish I was Sanjeet. Thank you for being here. Is everyone here no sell, no sell? Do you have price targets where you'd sell at? Dark Slacks a lot. What's up? Thank you for being here. Aster, thank you for being here. Hello. For me, I just continue to monitor what the company's doing over time. And I used to think, oh, maybe a certain price I'm gonna sell out, but you have to think I think for myself as an individual. And what I think is in the beginning, it was more like, okay, well, where's the exit? Like, what's going on here? But now, how far I've come as an individual and how much time has passed, it's really about an investment. It's not a trade in any which way for me. So until I see reason to sell my investment, the company's doing something I disagree with, I don't think they can grow anymore, something of that nature, I don't see why I would sell, especially if they start to deliver value to shareholders through share repurchases, dividends, potentially acquisitions, other business ventures like GameStop Player, and more things in the future. So as long as all those things are going, I'm not even going to think about selling. But that's me personally. And also, when the price rises, you reevaluate. So I think it's all about the individual and knowing what your position is and how you're feeling. So if you're trading, you're thinking, okay, well, I'm getting here, then I got to get there. But if you're investing, it's really just more important to look at the company over time and then just either hold or hodl your shares. And that's what I think. So I'm not saying, oh, hold forever. Oh, Tetron says this, you got to do that. Like I'm saying, do what's best for you as an individual. And for me, what's best is just focusing on the company right now. But overall, assets have been pretty consistent since Ryan Cohen's ownership. Leadership rather, not ownership, because the articles that are like, oh, Ryan Cohen owns the whole company, and sorry, not the articles, the BS documentary, the Meme King, making of a Meme King. Consistent, so that's just what I'm going to kind of put here. Just little notes for myself. I don't know why that keeps happening, very strange. High interest government notes. So keep in mind, terms wise, it's good to know cash and cash equivalents means money market accounts and anything with a maturity of less than 90 days. That means if it's a 1 month T bill or one of these brand new like 7-day T bills or 1-day T bills that they've been coming out with, if GameStop theoretically had those and was purchasing those actively, then it would be under cash equivalents, right? And that's just for the sake of example. But a better example of cash equivalent to a money market account, because you can cash it out at any time, but it's generally going to pay high interest. Like for example, in my Fidelity account right now, I could earn about 4.7% interest last I checked, just on having cash in a money market account. And just putting your cash in there, it's automatically in a money market. As soon as you withdraw from Fidelity, it's back in your pocket, right? It's no hold time in between, just whatever it takes to withdraw the money. So that's a cash equivalent, right? Whereas a marketable security is something over 3 months, but less than 1 year. The less than 1 year comes for the fact that it's under current assets. So current assets always implies less than 12 months because it's current. Anything not current would be more than 12 months and more than a year. But marketable securities here are treasury bills between 3 month expiry and 12 months, sorry, not expiry, 3 month maturity and 12-month maturity. So I think that's definitely, interesting to see on their balance sheet now. A lot of different companies I've looked at just to kind of get an idea are doing the same kind of thing. And it really just makes sense because if you're in a position to be able to maximize on your cash, especially in GameStop spot where you're transitioning, it's definitely important. I think we'll continue to see maturity of marketable securities down the line help cash flow a little bit. But this quarter, if you skip ahead to cash flow, not to get too ahead of ourselves, you can actually see the marketable securities taking place, see purchases of marketable securities right here. and then proceeds. So about just as many that matured and they received the proceeds, they put that much back in. So I expect that trend to kind of continue. And from seeing that here, what that tells me is the company's in a spot where they want to keep about 20% of their cash and cash equivalents, and marketable securities in the form of marketable securities. They want everything else to be highly liquid. Not that marketable securities aren't liquid, but I think I've said enough there. So inventories were down year over year. And I know some people are saying, well, oh, if you factor in uh, the difference of inventory, like if we actually spent less than inventory, we could have turned a profit. But if you look year over year, you could say, oh, well, it's down. So there's a lot of different ways to look at it, is what I'm kind of saying here. And at the end of the day, the company's inventory is always going to fluctuate. So I don't think it's really best to even look at inventory as being the one X reason why the company wasn't profitable, because inventory is always generally going to fluctuate. So you want them to be in a position where they're always going to be profitable, regardless of the fluctuation of inventory. I mean, of course, you're going to factor it in. I'm not saying it's irrelevant, but I expect this number to continue to float in this range. I mean, I don't think they're just going to overload on inventory unless it's another situation where there's a lot of inflation coming on a certain type of product, something of that nature. But it doesn't seem like we're in the spot like that anymore. So GameStop will probably just continue to actively manage its inventory, and also keep in mind things like retail technology. What they implemented a couple of years back, and it's nothing special, right? It's retail tracking inventory for companies that sell merchandise online and in stores. Just collects data and allows them to see what sells where, and just be able to take an inside look at the numbers. And that's not anything impressive, because all these other companies out there have had this for a long time. But the thing is, with GameStop, old management just disregarded the company. It was underbuilt infrastructure, however Cohen put it in his letter, and part of why he was buying so much stake and initially pursuing becoming chairman of the board and just overhauling everything that's kind of happened, because part of what he saw and he mentions in the letter is underdevelopment of the company's infrastructure and simple things like retail technology and software as a service, things that are going to allow the company to make better business decisions and better decisions for growth, and just merchandise wise, all these different small things that add up when you're a company like GameStop and you have stores across America, stores internationally. So that's something that factors in too. And I think that'll allow them maybe to decrease their inventory over time, or not decrease, but keep it in a spot where they can grow their product selection, but not always have an increasing merchandise inventory, if that makes sense. And just efficiently managing inventory as they collect more data and more time with this retail technology in place. But let's hit chat. And thank you all for being here, for real, for real. Darth, what up? Chad, I'm in no hurry to sell, only to buy. I feel you, Chad. I am looking at that dip, and I'm like, damn it. Larry Chang bought, Alan Adel caught the dip, and here I am now like, oh, I mean, it's always the dip, right? If you're long term, but I can't help but think, dang, I wish I scooped up a couple shares in the 20s. But at the end of the day, I like the stock. Doesn't mean I'm not going to ever buy stock again, but just not right this second. That's fine. I'll just keep an eye on it and see what happens. But I'm getting tempted because I'm like, GameStop players coming. A lot of different things seem to be in the works, but let's keep going here. Ryan, what up? Thank you for being here. What's good, Noah? Out shopping at GameStop right now. This is the way, Ryan's saying. Yo, guys, I just copped this stuff. I went 2 for 1 on the collectibles. Got some Funko Pops. Got Darth Vader right here. Got C-3PO. And Ewok. So I had to shop Pro Week. I was like, you know what? Like, I've honestly really never gotten Funkos, but I want to start having items for like the back of the stream, and eventually when I get like my true setup and stuff like that. And why not collect? And I don't know, you probably should keep them in the boxes to keep them in good shape. But I don't know. I like to show off collectibles. That's how I am. Or I don't know. I just like little knickknacks. Like I love having like little stuff on my desk. So you know what? Just got these. Here they are. They'll be for the stream. They'll be for whatever. So I just want to support the company, honestly. And I got those crypto trading cards as well. I wasn't really fully familiar with them. I wish I had them with me right now. I mean, I have them, but I don't want to go searching for them, or a bunch of you will click off. Not good for engagement, but I got those as well, the crypto trading pack. So I'm kind of interested to learn more about those. I just got it again for wanting to just simply embrace the company. And I'll look into these things. I'll even give them away at some point. I don't know. I'm just riding the waves, guys. Just figuring it out as I go. But for real, thank you for being here. Bitwise, I bought 196 shares in the last 2 weeks. Think the earnings would take me to the moon. Bitwise, I mean, that's how it goes sometimes, right? And if you did buy in the past couple weeks, you're probably just about even again looking at today's price action. So, again, I was kind of talking this a little bit before. I don't know if you were here, but you always want to know yourself as an individual. If you're trading, that's a completely different story than if you're investing in a company and you're believing in it. So it's know thyself. Our slacks a lot. Inventory is going to be in flux until we're done cutting stores. There's distribution to take into account. That's a good point, Darth. Things are definitely still shifting around, and European parts of the European operations being wound down, I would imagine that affects it in some small ways. So that's definitely a good point, and definitely probably something to not look at too hard. Bitwise, first time. XFit, definitely good to have you back, man. Good to see you. No, got 1,012 shares, so it's not your first time, not your first rodeo, huh? Do I have all chat? Yes, I do. Okay. Executive chairman of the board. That's right, Darth. That's right. I didn't sell during the sneeze and I got in at 35. Just had a baby yesterday, and sometimes I feel like I should have, but I feel like the little guy signals the beginning of the end. Sanjeet, congratulations. Absolutely congratulations. I'm so happy for you. That's great. You say? I just had a baby yesterday. Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, and maybe it's a sign, right? Maybe it's a sign in some way. I was with my cousins yesterday and we were just playing a video game for a little bit. And in the game, they're like, "Oh yeah, it's like 7.41." I was like, "Say that again." 7.41, and I was like, "Is this a sign?" Right? So maybe the stars are aligning, right? Who knows? Who truly knows? But smash that like button, people. Darth, you said it, not me. Thank you. Everybody, drop a like. I do appreciate that. I'm buying every paycheck. Bitwise, I think that's the best way to go if you're a long-term investor. Consistent buying. I always try and tell people that don't understand stocks, like when I initially talk about it, I say, okay, well, you don't want to just dump whatever you want to put in. Put in consistently. Consistency is really key in starting out in any kind of investing. And that's just what I think. Of course, no financial advice on this channel. Cheers all around. Congrats on the new little one. Yes, congrats, congrats. Every day I buy under $100 pre-split, I will. Darth, I like where your head's at. Anything under 25, which is pre-split 100, I really do feel like is a great opportunity to enter, especially if you're a long-term investor. Hey Darth, as for saying hello, hellos, and hey, born a Green Day and week of a shareholders meeting. He's a GME baby. I like it. I like it. Let's go. Show me a stock with zero debt and healthy options chain, and I'll buy it today. XBit, show me a stock with zero insider sales in the past 12 months. No, I'm just kidding. That was my tweet the other day. That's what made me think of that. But yeah, GameStop, it seems like it's in a good spot. And also, we seem to be in a spot where my perspective is on the whole market, and definitely take this with a grain of salt. Because again, I'm just telling you what I think. The S&P 500 now is rising, and ever since the debt ceiling issue kind of got solved or just pushed back, whatever, basically that in the long term, the money printer is just going to keep burring, right? In a sense. So I feel like that signal to the market just, okay, it's kind of business as usual, back to riding the wave up, and just more money flowing in and just money flows to the top, right? All these different things. And again, I don't have great perspectives on the market. I like the greatest. I'm saying I'm not like this super analyst, but if you're looking at money just flowing in, and where it's flowing right now is companies that are in good shape. And GameStop's in this weird spot where it's in between, where it's like everyone's like, "Oh, it's not profitable," right? When I say everyone, I mean the general public, people not truly paying attention. "Oh, it's not profitable," but if you really look at it, they're on the verge of being profitable, right? They're almost there, and their balance sheet's in good shape. So money is generally flowing to companies with good balance sheets and delivering value to shareholders. So I think as GameStop continues to deliver value to shareholders, in general, that drives more capital in. But also you have to think in a market where growth companies that once were doing crazy good last year, right? Sorry, 2 years ago at this point, or a year and a half, whatever, just going up crazy on any kind of news, they're not really catching up or making up the ground that they lost. So I think it's important to look at names like, Pepsi, Procter & Gamble, Costco, just some pure value names, right? And look how they've bounced back. So just something to kind of consider there. But I think as GameStop shifts more into delivering value, but also growing, that's really where just massive inflows come in. So it's a long game. But show me a stock. Yeah, I've been trying to get my hands on those crypto trading cards. Pharaoh, thank you for being here. Yeah, I was actually checking out. I bought the Funkos, right? And I'm going to leave, and then my friend's like, "Yo, those are the cards you were talking about." I was like, "Oh, they're like behind the counter." I'm like, let me go into those. I'm like, "How much are these?" He's like, "I have no idea. Nobody's bought these. There was just two of them, like propped up, like by the back counter." So I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll just cop them." But they were $30, so definitely, make sure you want them because I was kind of like, honestly, I didn't even know if I wanted these, but because it's GameStop, it's okay. And also, I don't just think like that in general when I spend. I want to be clear. Like I've really been trying to budget myself better, but I was like, I really haven't bought anything at GameStop in a while. And what I always preach is shop the company, right? So here I am. I'm going to shop the company. I don't need anything in particular in this moment, but why not shop the company? And again, I'm curious about it. I feel like when you're curious, I want to be curious about things, and this is part of what I do. Being curious about things. So whatever. I don't even have to validate why I bought it. I don't know why I'm over explaining this. So operating lease right of use assets. So definitely something to keep an eye on just to get kind of back on things. And I'll get back to the chat in a minute. So this is their leases. So you definitely, okay, I don't know why the effects aren't the greatest tonight. Let's just do a yellow highlight. All right, I guess not. That's fine. But that's definitely something I want to keep an eye on. Okay. I don't know why this is happening. Whatever. I'm just going to keep rocking and rolling. Just kind of talk it out. If anything, I'll mark it up after. But, overall, I think the balance sheet is in good shape. So long-term debt, you see it's slowly being paid off. The current portion for the year is 10.9 million. But again, they're literally earning more on their cash and marketable securities than they're paying on their debt. So I think they're literally just paying that as slow as possible because why would you not? And the current portion of the operating lease liabilities, so that's what they're going to owe again this year, is about 50 million for the quarter if you divide it by 4, because the current portion is for the year, because current again is within 12 months. So if you divide it by 4, you have 50. And then accounts payable, a little bit higher than last year, kind of back to the year before. But again, things like accounts payable and accounts receivable are always going to fluctuate with GameStop, just the nature of the business. Then we covered debt already. So other long-term liabilities, I'd have to look into the details on that. I don't know off the top of my head. Additional paid in capital, again, fairly consistent. But statement of operations, okay, this is definitely where I want to start adding some details. But let's hit chat one more time. Sir Moist, thank you for being here. What up, what up? Y2, what up? Thank you for being here. Good to see you. And buying more, hey, if you like the stock, I feel like that's what you got to do as an individual. But if you don't like a stock, you don't buy. If you like a stock, you buy, right? It's that simple. And that's why it was so legendary when the wise, the one, the man, the myth, the legend, Roaring Kitty was like, as for me, I like the stock. Really exploded. Freaking hilarious. I mean, I don't think it actually exploded on that news, of him saying that, but it was a legendary moment in the saga, I would say. Absolutely. And it was so early on if you look at a zoomed out version of everything. I really say the saga starts when Ryan Cohen started buying in, or you could even go as far back when Roaring Kitty started buying and everyone was like, what is this guy doing? And he just started making videos and like posting about it on Reddit. And everybody's like, who is this guy? Like, what is wrong with you? You're literally gonna, where's that guy? And then it's like, what's your price target? No price target, only up. And that's actually how I feel with GameStop because if you're invested in it, it's no price target, only up. But for him to be saying that at that point in time, that was pretty wild because if you think about it, that's pre Ryan Cohen. Maybe he said it when Ryan Cohen's in, but regardless, it's so early on in knowing everything. So, Roaring Kitty, what a legend. He's out there somewhere, right? And to get to meet him one day, legendary. Would truly be legendary. To have just even have a talk with him. It doesn't even have to be on camera. It could just be offline. That would just be so cool. I was on fire. I was on fire buying from GameStop when they had Gundam style model kits there in there. Um, Pam, speaking of Gundam style, I don't think this is. You know what I thought of when you said that? What's it called? Gunman style, or the song, or Gangnam style. So I don't actually want to play it, but, or just to go to this here really quick. I meant to actually open the stream with this. I kind of forgot of it. You just reminded me, but blessings, Sunji. My cousin used to be a main game buddy, has a son on the way. Nice. That's awesome. Chris, thank you for being here. What up, what up? Holding 395 at 2290. Nice. That's a great cost basis. Honestly, I think it's better than mine. I'm not exactly sure of mine just because multiple accounts and so many individual purchases. So I don't really know mine exactly, but if I had to estimate, it's about 25. So nice. But it's not loading right now. I don't know why it stops loading, but on the Gangnam Style video, if you go to it right now and search it by newest, right? Like listen to, if you're, as you're listening right now, go on a new tab, search Gangnam Style and look at the comments by newest. It's all people like Diamond Hands, like I'm here, Reddit's down, like stuff like that. It's crazy. Like it's just hilarious to me. It's great. And that's just some other silly stuff I'll show you later. I don't know why this isn't loading. Get back to the main topic here. RK saw no one else could see. RC, yeah, exactly. I have negative cost basis. So hey, XBit, not all of us could be as awesome as you, man. Negative cost basis, damn. I wish I could be as good as you. I go to bed at night and I go, I wish I could be XBit. I wish I could be XBit. Gangnam, yes, exactly, Sir Moist. Gangnam style. Whoop, whoop, whoop. I do the Fortnite emote to people constantly. Nice. You know, Sir Voice, I almost was gonna play Fortnite the other day, like Saturday or Sunday. I was like, should I just do a random stream and play Fortnite? But the thing is, I only have a PS4 that has Fortnite, so I'd have to update it, and it'd take forever. So I was like, all right, I got to do that in advance. Um, damn, how'd you get that? Yeah, I gotta cop it if they have it though. And I gotta say, everyone go to the video, go to the most recent comments. That's what's in my parties. Tetron remind me of Roaring Kitty in a good way. Pharaoh, I'm honored. Thank you. That is actually like a huge compliment. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. But I don't think I'm anywhere near Roaring Kitty's level yet. You know, I'll try and catch him and all that, but he, sir, is a legend. But I do appreciate that comment. Thank you so much. AMC, oh, Expo, you're trying to make me sick? Oh my goodness. Give it to me, baby. How much can you make on AMC? I have a negative cost basis thanks to AMC. XBit, unfortunately, a lot of people have negative gains thanks to Adam Aaron, that bozo, that clown. Adam Aaron, show me some insider buying. Yeah, that's what I thought. It's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious just looking at AMC insider activity versus GameStop insider activity. I remember above all else when I first started understanding the differences and seeing the whole psyop and everything that was AMC and the same play, it's the next play, blah blah blah, and the whole June run up, everything. I start to realize like just look at the insider activity. That is ultimately the difference. That told me the story at its core, and that was the simplest thing I felt like I had to look at and be like, yeah, this is a completely different story. And then also just understanding more over time, I was like, yeah, though, there's no way. So I'll be honest, I messed with AMC in the beginning, like, like, is this something to be involved in a little? And then I just cashed it out because I was like, what's going on here? This is going up. This is the Wild West. And then I didn't get back again because I started understanding what's truly going on. And I think a lot of people have that, honestly. So you just come to realize over time, and in hindsight, it's like, wow, completely two different companies. I feel like AMC is barely even in the discussion. It barely even gets forced into my feed as much unless it's like outside my general bubble, if that makes sense. Whereas it felt more like force associated. And even Bed Bath has finally like kind of moved away. You know, it's kind of like it's not like, a merger, like calm. Maybe somehow Bye Bye Baby gets involved, right? But GameStop's gonna acquire the name for like 5 million? Like that's like nothing, you know what I mean? Probably not even. I don't know, but whatever. Get back to the chat here. Are you a builder or non-builder? Sir Moist, builder in the sense I want to build my PC, if that's what you meant. I do want to. That is definitely something I want to do. No, GameStop won't load. Just play the Macarena instead. Exactly. Macarena. What's up, Tetron? Xbit Darth? Danzo, what up? What up? Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here, for real. Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. What an earnings season, right? I'm sure you've been keeping an eye on everything, even though you've been busy. But, okay, let's keep going here. So, what I actually did today as well, and I want to make this into a chart of some kind and continue to keep an eye on it, is I took GameStop's total SG&A for every single quarter since the first quarter of 2019. So, showing prior Ryan Cohen's ownership and just involvement in general through the pandemic, right? Because that was the very beginning. It was like a weird time that year where he was just first getting involved. That earlier part of the year was the pandemic and everything. Hence why the stock was so low and he started getting involved, whatever. So then 2021, 2022 kind of shows what he's been doing. And I'm not just, sorry, not just Ryan Cohen, but just the company as a whole. But I'm just talking about captain of the ship here just to name one individual. But I wanted to look back at 2019 as well. So I kind of put it all together and I wanted to put it into a chart. But looking at 2019, their SG&A average per quarter is like in the high 400s, right? So I would say it's about like 470 just off the top of my head here. Then 2020, they did reduce it a little bit, and it's prior to Ryan Cohen getting involved and whatnot. But you have to think 2020 sales were very bad, a huge drop off due to the pandemic and just less people shopping and just that whole little scare period where a lot of companies similar to GameStop just didn't do too well in terms of top line sales. But even then, their SG&A was still averaging about 360 something per quarter. You had Q1 386, Q2 348, Q3 360, Q4 419. And then 2021 SG&A was still high, right? Like it's still in the high 300s. Then it's 421, and then Q4 it's all the way up to 538. And then 2022 it comes and it's 452, then 387, then 387, 453, and it's generally higher. So I feel like 2019 the company was overspending and that was poor management, just spending so unnecessarily and compensation, overpaying executives, things like that a little bit. And 2020, like, okay, well, we have to cut a little bit because so much craziness is going on. I don't know what to do. Nobody knew what the heck was going on in those few months or couple quarters where this virus came and all this craziness, right? So then 2021, and again, I'm just telling you what I think. This is how I'm viewing the numbers. Then 2021, they still kind of remained relatively high, relatively the same. The transformation began to take place. And then 2022 was a lot of building and actually taking action in the transformation and on the plan. So I feel like now we're in 2023. SG&A came in at 345.7. That's the lowest it's been in a long time. That's the lowest it's been since all of these numbers, right? For any single quarter in the past 5 years. So since 2018. And I don't have 2018's numbers in front of me, so potentially even longer. So it seems like they really were able to slim things down now in terms of selling and general administrative costs right here. So just looking at those. And I expect selling and general administrative costs to continue to decline quarter over quarter. So if we look ahead to Q2 of 2022 and we compare it to the upcoming quarter GameStop's going to report, which is going to be Q2 2023, then what we would want to beat or see the company improve on is they had $387.5 million on selling and general administrative costs. So I'd like to see that number come in at 345 again. That would be fantastic. I think that'd be a nice quarter over quarter improvement. But keep in mind, in the earnings release, GameStop did mention that Q2 reporting for this year is still going to see some of the downsizing costs related to winding down parts of Europe. And also, we'll get to later here if I keep moving. I'm going a little slow. I apologize. Just like to cover all the details. But what we can go to is when I get through the income statement here, you can actually see like percentage of sales and a little bit more detail down the line. So let's keep rolling. Might make money on the way down, selling on the way down with AMC, but it wasn't 6 figures of money. Exactly, Darth. If there's money to be made, hey, you can make it. But, again, it's all about knowing yourself as an individual. But yeah, on the way down, I was looking at AMC like, AMC. So basically, earnings, the mainstream shit all over, but it's just another typical earnings. Kind of, Danzo, but you had the little twist with Furlong gone, and I would still say overall improvement in the numbers. And then you have two insiders come buy shares on GameStop player coming. So I would say yes, the classic with a little spice on it, right? But yeah, good to see everyone in here. Let's go. Oh, I met in Fortnite. A builder or non-builder? I'm a builder, Sir Moist, but I rarely play. Like, I haven't played in so long. But I only really ever played building. I never even played at the time period where there wasn't a building. So I feel like building's just natural. But I might be better at no building because I suck at building, to be honest, in Fortnite. But I might have to run it one day. Can you please look at MBOT? Alan, thank you for being here. I'm not familiar with MBOT, but I'll look at it another time potentially. But for today, sorry, I'm just sticking on GameStop. Oh, damn, XBit's got some feedback for you, but I'll have to look at it another day. I'm completely unfamiliar with it, honestly, and I just kind of want to keep going here. And definitely something important to look at. And this is not being marked up as best as I wanted it to be, but that's fine. It's the operating loss. So that was improved upon quarter over quarter. I find that to be really important. So you have an improvement of about 105 million on the bottom line here with net income. So GameStop's gross profit for the quarter, I didn't even have the numbers fully ready. Slacktron. So gross profit for the quarter was 22.22%. So how I got that is you divide this gross profit by net sales. So I'd like to see GameStop try and get their gross profit up to 25%. For the year before, it was 21.65, but that's going to be tough. So maybe even just getting it up to 24%, right? Just a slight 1.5% move on that, just through more collectibles, better managing inventory, just slightly improving, right? Be able to improve that gross profit. But really, of course, it's down to this net profit here. And right now, their net profit margin, right? If you were to calculate it, it would just be, let's see, let's get the iPhone calculator up. Negative 58.4 divided by 1,237.1, and that's actually 1.2 billion. So negative 4.7% net margin as of right now, just at a glance. Whereas the quarter before, for the same time last year, and I feel like percentages are important to look at right now for GameStop in this transformation stage where the revenue, unfortunately, is not growing. Of course, we want to see that. And of course, it's necessary in the long term. But for right now, where it's not, I feel like looking at percentages more is like really important. And I noticed looking at some of the company's older filings, the percentages weren't there. And since Ryan Cohen and the new board members and new leadership in general took over, there's a lot more percentages in comparing numbers year over year. And I'll show you a little bit lower here. But just to kind of, and again, I apologize for all the scribbles or whatever. This is like being laggy and whatever. Again, I got to improve my setup, but we'll get there. We'll get there. So profit margin last year was negative 11.15. So went from negative 1.5% to margin of, and I'm going to try and organize this another point. What did I say before? 4.5%. So that's that $105 million swing there. So I'd like to see this get to 24%. 24%. Because this one here was 22.22%. And this one here, 21.65%. So it really depends, on the items they sell. And again, that number is going to fluctuate, but just seeing it slightly improve, each quarter over the same quarter of the previous year, and seeing that for a full year, to me just shows a little bit of improvement. And it's tough for the industry they're in, but I think as they do more with GameStop Player as well, it's certainly possible. So if they can get this to 24, I'll say even to 25%, I think that'd be pretty cool, or pretty helpful to the company. I shouldn't say cool, like, yeah, it's great, but it'd definitely be helpful. And then obviously I want to see selling and general administrative costs continue to decline, but at a certain point you can only cut them so much, and I feel like the cuts will really be done by the end of this year. Then it's really just they're kind of operating as is and just adapting based on what happens. So at that point, that's where revenue has to start to step up as a whole, and things just need to start growing, and that's where I think GameStop Player comes into play. And interest income and expense is always going to fluctuate, other expense. So this gave us the bottom line here. Well, actually, the percentages would be based on these numbers, so I do apologize. They're slightly off, but get the general idea here. Just to keep moving along. Then you have foreign currency adjustment. That's always going to, again, be a factor. But, again, we saw that from here to here. just to move down, cash flows from operating activities. So in case you're unaware, the bottom line of the income statement always carries down to cash flows from operating activities. And then you go down to the net cash flows for the operating activities where it factors in various other items such as inventories. So while the inventories, like, okay, well, why do they buy more inventory and that brings them at a loss? What that did was purchasing that inventory, you have to realize, is it got added onto their balance sheet, and that's how their inventory increased quarter over quarter from, or I'm sorry, not increased, but if you looked at the same quarter, not same quarter, Q4 rather, singularly, that would be the quarter over quarter cash flow of increase in amount of inventory. Whereas if they acquired less inventory than items they sold, and this would be positive, and then that would hence improve this number on the bottom line here. So yeah, it's something I'm really trying to work on lately, and I forgot the guy's name. I think it was Bipolar, like Polar Bear or something like that. Here last time, shout out to you if you're here. Was saying, you got to really understand accounting better, and I don't think they were saying it like this individual was saying like, oh, Tetron, you're stupid or something like that. I think I was like, yeah, like I really have to understand how everything I'm seeing on the cash flow statement, where exactly it lines up to on the balance sheet. I can generally tell you, but I want to be able to tell you every single line here to every single line on the balance sheet. So that's what I'm really trying to do here. So that's what I started to understand there. And then, accounts payable and accrued liabilities. Again, how it's shifting on the balance sheet, the total is going to come into play here. And then investing activities, I kind of touched on it before. This is something I definitely want to continue to see, the marketable securities. So just highlighting that. I don't know what's going on with the highlights here, if it'll even work. But can you please look at MBot? Not today. Sorry, Alan. I already said that before. I run the Wolverine controllers with the buttons in back. Hey, all right, Sir Moist, so you're the real deal. Respect. What up, GME elitist? Steve, what up? Thank you for being here. I am a GME elitist. I don't know if you're talking to Darth or me, but I think we're both GME elitist. I mean, I'll speak for myself. I'm a GME elitist. I like the stock. Mbot, the next big play. Alan, I don't think so. I'm not a next big play type of dude, my friend. I'm sorry. I like the stock kind of guy. Cotter Nee, what up? Thank you for being here. Monty, what up? Thank you for being here. Blue Bit Label, nice, nice. GME is the next big play. Yeah, Raider Bow. It's funny you say that. I was talking to a very credible source, somebody very close to me, with some legit info. They have some real connections, and they were telling me that the next GME is GME. That's just what my sources say. I don't know. I mean, take it with a grain of salt, right? But it's a credible individual. And then if you move down here, settlement of stock-based rewards, so nothing really taking place there. The slight repayments of the debt. So remember what I showed you on the current portion of debt on the balance sheet of what they're going to be owing rather on their liability. So current portion of long-term debt, 10.9. So that's, again for the year because current portion's for 12 months. So if you take about 1/4 of that, and then you come down here, you have the repayment. About 1/4 is 2.7, right? So it's always going to fluctuate slightly with the interest and whatnot, but generally you can see it right there. Then overall, free cash flow was negative 160 million. I was saying, I think it's going to be positive, but looking deeper at the cash flow statement here and just further understanding income operations, and the more I read it, I'm like, it makes sense where they're still on the edge here, and I can see cash flow still just squeaking positive next quarter, or maybe being ever so slightly negative. But I don't think it's ever going to be a situation where it's like this again, 236 million negative. I think the only way that happens is the company makes either a significant investment in more marketable securities than those that mature, something like that. That would affect free cash flow, and then you would probably want to look at the operating income more. But also, there's also potential of an acquisition that would show up here as a one-time thing. Well, depending how it's structured, if it's a one-time cost, complete buyout of cash, it would show up here. So there's always things that can affect free cash flow. So you always want to know like the details, and this is why I'm really trying to understand the details. So when these one-off events do come up, if GameStop does inevitably make an acquisition, then I want to be able to explain and understand for myself exactly why it happened. But moving on here is just net loss, shareholders' equity. Not too much to talk about here. Let me get my summary again. When Moon, Sean Annan. I don't know. I guess not soon enough for you, but for me, I just like the stock and I'm a long-term guy. I'm not a big moon guy. I'm a big like rocket, like look at the stars on the way. Ooh, there's Mars. Ooh, look at those planets. Oh, a couple extraterrestrials, maybe it's like an alien in Vegas. All that stuff. And then when I get there and I'll land, I'll be like, holy shit, I'm on the moon. And that's just how I look at it personally. Coffeeing up, always good. Des Bryant tweeted brick by brick, lol. Raider Bo, that's awesome. Honestly, I low key thought like it'd be the coolest thing to interview Des Bryant. Like I should just DM him and be like, if you're interested in just having a conversation, but I'm still getting warmed up in the interview game, but I really feel like interviewing people would be a lot of fun. It seems like kind of a cool thing, and I don't want like I want to be like like not a reporter, but I feel like just understanding the world now is it's about individuals that are creators that are providing information and that where people go to listen and hear for opinions, especially just the nature of how the news is right now, right? It's just chaos and craziness and whatever, regardless of how you feel, right? I don't even want to get into that. But my point is, I feel like the wave now is individuals, interviewing other individuals and things like of that nature to spread information. So whereas it's not how it used to be where it's like, oh, to get a lot of attention or to do a big interview or something. Like for me, doing Des Bryant interview would be huge. That's crazy. It's a guy I watched playing football like growing up. I watched him on TV when I was a kid, and like everybody's like, "Oh, yo, that's crazy! Like, what a catch!" Like he's a primetime player. Like that'd be crazy. So that'd be huge. So my point is like just the fact I could try and actually have a legit possibility. I'm not saying it's definite, but I'm gonna try. Why not? Especially if you tweeted that. Especially because he tweeted that now. I feel like this is my end. It'd just be cool, and it's power to the creators, and just the way things have shifted. So I just have to get a little bit better. I feel like of interviewing, but definitely something I want to get into, and I want to ask like legit questions instead of like softball questions that you tend to see on just media networks and things like that, whether it's finance, media, or elsewhere. So all right, let's get to this is the cash. We talked about this quite a bit. To understand more about digital assets, this is probably something we should look at right here. But let's hit chat one more time. Probably test 25 tomorrow. I'll be happy to close the week above it. Me too, honestly, Darth. Me too. Unless, if the Ryan Cohen Form 4 filing comes, I think everything changes. Or even another Form 4 if any insider decides to buy more shares. Still bullish, right? Still bullish. But one could only wonder after Ryan becoming CEO, two other insiders buy. Could it happen? I mean, after the last Larry Chang purchase, I thought, oh, it could happen. So you never truly know, right? And Ryan Cohen's a mysterious guy, so I could see the hype dying down, and then like next week, he's like, okay, I'll buy now, just because that's Ryan Cohen, right? Always expect the unexpected. So who knows? After much deliberation, I've come to the conclusion that my baby mama is a reptilian alien. Damn, XBit, that must be a fun time. That's like Sean. Maybe get a bus pass first. Big Lambo guy, and I'm tired of waiting. Sean, I don't know, man. You might have to seek a Lambo elsewhere if you're just waiting, waiting on GameStop to take you there. What was the amount of reduction in inventory for Europe? Jim, thank you for being here. I'm gonna have to check on that. Stick with me here. I wonder. I'm not sure if inventory is particularly outlined where I'm getting to in the report, but I'm just gonna quickly go through this. Finra fraud. Jesse, thank you for being here. Finra, does some interesting things. So I've heard. We account for digital assets in accordance with ASC 350. See, this is something I want to look into. Tangibles and goodwill, other topic 350. Our digital assets are indefinite lived tangible assets are initially recorded at cost. Accordingly, if the fair market value at any which point during the reporting period is lower than the carrying value, an impairment loss equal to the difference will be recognized in SG&A expenses in a condensed consolidated statement of operations. Impairment losses cannot be recovered for any subsequent increase in fair value until the sale or disposal of the asset. Gains on the sale of the digital asset, if any, will be recognized based on the fair value upon sale or disposal of the assets in SG&A expenses and our condensed consolidated statement of operations. In January 2022, we entered into a constructual agreements with Immutable X Party Limited, IMX, and Digital Worlds NFTs Limited, pursuant to which the company was entitled to receive up to 150 million in digital assets in the form of IMX tokens once certain contractual milestones have been achieved. Upon announcement, we achieved our first milestone under the agreement with IMX and recognized a 79 million non-current receivable and corresponding deferred income liability related to the entitlement of IMX tokens as of January 29th, 2022. See, something I want to do at a certain point, and when things are loading up, and I gotta like write this down right now. Of course, I don't have a pen here. I think I do in here. But what I want to do is really try and write and understand and see where exactly all of this stuff is taking place. Just really trying to understand these details. So I'm really going to highlight this for myself. Because again, I want to understand what is exactly AS350, how does that work in terms of gap accounting, all different things to learn. So it's always about, thinking and just trying to understand more. And that's where I'm at right now. Upon announcement, we achieved our first milestone. Okay. During fiscal 2022, we achieved our second and third milestones under our agreement with IMX and recognized an additional 33.8 million of deferred income liability on our condensed consolidated balance sheets. The deferred income is recognized over the term of the contractual agreement. We liquidated all tokens received under our agreements with IMX in fiscal 2022 and have no IMX tokens recorded on the condensed consolidated balance sheets as of April 29, 2023. So GameStop is sticking to what they said a while back, that we're not actually going to hold any of the cryptocurrency. We're not going to be holding digital assets themselves. We're going to be facilitating it. We're going to be laying down the pipes, the groundwork. During the first quarter of fiscal 2022, we recognized a loss of 7.2 million on the non-current receivable, impairment of 33.7 million on the digital assets, gain of 6.9 million on the sale of digital assets, and deferred income of 13.9 million in SG&A expenses in our condensed consolidated statement of operations. So factoring that out, it'd actually be technically a little bit lower. So that's definitely an interesting factor to look at here, especially because I've been talking about SG&A a lot. So as of April 29, 2023, the remaining deferred income liability based on our agreements with IMX was 43 million in accrued liabilities and other current liabilities on our condensed consolidated balance sheets. So also what you can do here, right, if you're not as familiar, just for researching, for showing people how I kind of think and stuff like that. Where's just a good old mouse? But what you could do here is, if you could just copy it. I don't know why it's not just letting me do a pointer. But what I could do here, or what I do sometimes in researching, like I could try and make sense of this right now, but I really would need time to like kind of write it out and read through this line by line because it's very wordy. But what I do sometimes to start out is I'll copy this whole thing and I'll be like, ChatGPT, explain this to me in simple terms. ChatGPT, give me a short summary on this. ChatGPT, clarify this information, stuff like that. And it just starts to explain it to me in different ways. And then I read it and dissect it in different ways. And I try and like write it out. And that's the different stuff I'm trying to do. And I call it, or how I view it, it's like modern day analysis for the individual investor. You have a robot you can like give feedback to or get feedback from, and not saying like, oh, what do I invest in? I feel like that's how the average person would think of it with it. Like, oh, how could you use ChatGPT for understanding stocks or researching stocks? Be like, oh, it's going to tell you what to trade. You can use a blah, 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 algos, whatever. No, I'm going to use it to help me understand stuff, become more knowledgeable on things. And that's how I view it, at least. So revenue by category. Something I talked about previously is I really want to see collectibles bounce back. I really wanted to see them. Oh, here's the highlighter. I really wanted to see them be strong this quarter. Unfortunately, they weren't. But, that's how it is sometimes. Generally, the reason is generally these are higher margin items. And it seemed like a category the company was growing a lot. But I think it's just a factor of the economy as a whole, where not as many people are buying items such as these Funko Pops, right? Like I have Darth Vader right here. Not the average person is maybe just buy a Darth Vader Funko Pop right now when prices of bread and eggs and milk and things like that are just steadily increasing, and credit card debt is increasing as a whole in America. U.S. savings accounts are decreasing as a whole. all these different factors are going on. So collectibles is not necessarily the number one category, but then you could say that for GameStop's revenue as a whole and items as a whole. So that's just some general thoughts there. But overall, I think it'll bounce back, and I think depending how they list everything exactly with GameStop Player and future business expansions, it'll really depend, how is this revenue breakdown actually looking in the future? How do we analyze it? Things like that. So then you have unredeemed customer liabilities, extended warranties, subscriptions, all factored in for. A little bit on that there. Then assets. So this is the marketable securities I keep talking about. So in August 2022, the company opened investment portfolios consisting of U.S. government treasury notes and bills, an aggregate amount of $250 million. These investments are classified as available for sale debt securities reported at fair value on a recurring basis and utilize level 1 inputs of measurement. As of April 29, 2023, the investment portfolio's aggregate balance was $255.3 million, of which $253.1 million are recognized in marketable securities and $2.2 million are recognized in cash equivalents on the balance sheet. So that $2.2 million is either in a money market account or a bill that's less than 3 months. But the rest of it, marketable securities there. As of April 29, 2023, we realized a $0.9 million loss on sale of marketable securities, which was included with another expense net in our condensed consolidated statement of operations. So the reason I would think maybe they sold a marketable security is during the last interest rate hike, they're like, okay, well, we could just sell this one, even though we'll take a loss here. What we'll earn on purchasing the new one will offset this $0.9 million. That's how my guess as to why that particular marketable security was sold. But that's where you can see exactly here. Then foreign currency contracts, that's Forex. So what businesses do, I don't know exactly how GameStop does it, but I just remember learning in college, generally, businesses, when you're a company like GameStop or you're a business in general doing business worldwide, there's various currencies, and you're going to, in GameStop's case, US dollar is your main currency where you're based out of, so everything converts to that at the end of the day and how everything's calculated for GAAP accounting. So sometimes what companies have, and again, I don't know exactly what GameStop's story is on this, is they have currency traders or finance educated individuals in terms of Forex trying to hedge against future price movements. So if you think the dollar is going to further weaken against another currency, then you would want to purchase a Forex contracts hedging against that happening, because you want to keep so when you actually do earn money from Europe or Australia and then you convert it, you have the currency contract to basically offset the conversion difference because of the currency fluctuations. I'm not sure if I explained that exactly correct, but if that's why they have I would imagine that's why they have a foreign currency contract. But again, it's so small, that's less than $1 million. It's like 700,000. That's nothing for them relative to the size of the company. Just a little more on that here, or see here. So you recognize in prepaid expenses and other current assets on our condensed consolidated balance sheet. Why is it always condensed consolidated balance sheets? That CC always gets me. Let's check chat. Who isn't? Oh, the aliens you guys are talking about are real, and AMC will never squeeze. You guys are going crazy in chat. Gonna catch up. What's more likely, those aliens in Vegas backyard are real, or AMC squeezing? Movie I vote the aliens. Honestly, I vote the aliens. I mean, GameStop, AMC could do whatever, up, down, left, right, sideways, but it's not going to. It's not what they say it is. Let me put it that way. Aliens are real. AMC will never squeeze. I'm dead. You guys are mad funny. Sup, everyone? Powerhouse, thank you for being here. You guys are great in the chat. I love it. But let's keep moving down here. So moving down, 14 is the exact terms of the debt, right? I believe we had that here. So April 30th, 2022 and January 28th, 2023, there was 37.2, 42.2 million, and 49.5 million of outstanding debt. So we just look at the most recent one, 37.2. The total outstanding debt includes 10.9 million. Again, we show that the short term, it's all for the French term loans. So French subsidiary, Micromania SAS, so that's how they did it. Entered in 6 separate unsecured term loans for a total of 40 million euros. And then, of course, they did the currency conversion. in the second quarter of 2021. So at a time where interest rates worldwide were essentially zero, GameStop decided to take on debt. And to me, that was them foreseeing interest rates rising. And this is debt that was so minimal and just to, boost their balance sheet a little bit. But they didn't take on massive debt in any which way, and they paid off all their high interest debt that they previously held. And they took on this debt at a time where, like, okay, we can take on a little bit just to, kind of have repayments going on. And also, that money we'll probably be able to earn more on in the future due to high interest rates. Because look at this, the interest rate increased from 0 to 0.7% for the 3 of the term loans and 1% for the remaining 3 term loans. So half the loans, the interest rate's 0.7, the other one is 1% annually. That's very small. But even though, it's not significant, they barely have any debt in general. I think it just kind of shows you like the intelligence of GameStop. Like another example of this is this company Fortinet I was looking at. It's a cybersecurity based company, and they had never taken on debt. Right, strong growing company, and they took on debt in late 2021. And I'm like, oh, why would they do that? I looked at it. They take on a $1 billion loan and increased their cash balance from, I think it was after an acquisition, I believe it was, after from like 1.3 billion to 2.3 billion or 2.3 to 3.3 billion. This company, that $1 billion loan, they take it on at a 1% interest rate or 1.5% interest rate, under 2%. I remember that, and I was like, wow. Now their marketable securities and cash equivalents are literally earning that company more than that huge, and boosted their balance sheet and allowed them to buy back shares, earn more interest on that cash. I was like, wow, that's what something GameStop could have did if they were at the scale Fortinet is, because Fortinet's a ginormous, growing cybersecurity company, completely different industry. But I'm like, wow, with company in touch with what's happening, making smart decisions, it allows them to significantly benefit the business. And that stock has had a split recently, and share buybacks, things like that generally. And I'm talking like I was looking at the company on a multi-year basis. So when I'm saying recently, I'm saying past couple of years. So just kind of food for thought there. But this is definitely very interesting to look at. This is by segment, broken down in forts. So let's definitely pull it up here. Damn, chat's still popping off. I love it. $100 each week towards GameStop. This is the way. Hey, I mean, powerhouse. I like it. Holding for 20 years, not selling ever. XBit, I like that too. I mean, if you like the stock, you like the stock. So what is with GME's big turnaround? Powerhouse. It's all coming down to GameStop player. I think that's really pulling everything together. I think that's where we're getting at, but we'll see. So much for that post-earnings dip, am I right? Short or hard, Kenny, we like the discount. Ben, thank you for being here. I know how you feel because I was like, oh, okay, post-earning dip. All right, let's feel this out. Let's kind of look at it a little bit. Whoop. All right, we're back at $24, right? All of a sudden, I'm like, damn. That's crazy. So yeah, I know what you mean. Like so much for that earnings dip. I didn't even really get a chance to think about it. I'm like, well, maybe I should have been buying a couple shares there. Damn it. But for now, back to digesting, viewing things. I'm happy with my share position, but I'm also always happy to add more. So just keeping a close eye on it. I've been holding Apple since I was born. That's awesome, XP. That's actually great. I'm sure it's done very well for you. And I know it's done very well for you if you've held Apple for a long time at all. Hey all, didn't see this was live. I just turned on notifications. Jesse, it's all good. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. And I appreciate the notifications. Branson owning the float had a good talk last night. Powerhouse, I got to give that a listen. I did get a notification about that, but I didn't get a chance to listen yet. But thanks for the reminder. So let's hit the numbers here. So net sales in United States was 832.4 million. So that's about 2/3 of their total sales from United States domestically. Just slightly an operating loss there. So obviously you want to see that continue to improve. If you look at the same number last year, they had more revenue, but a way larger loss in America. And then looking at the Canadian segment, the Canadian region revenue actually rose, and then they were almost able to turn a profit there. And then the Australian segment, revenue rose, and they were able to turn a profit. So I feel like that's a good sign that they're cutting costs in a way in these two segments that they're able to now turn a net profit, even though all the cost cutting may be done. But we won't know exactly, right? That's something we can't exactly be determined of, but I'd like to see net sales continue to come in positive here. And obviously, increase in positivity, hopefully, as net sales in general increase. So then European sales were down, but that's definitely a factor of cost cutting. So at least the operating loss decreased. The operating loss I'm looking backwards here. I just realized that. So across the board, every segment decreased. I apologize. So what we saw is they're still losing money. I completely just analyzed that in the wrong way. So I think we see two things here in that sense. We need revenues to continue to rise and just those small cost cutting measures to continue to take place over the next couple of quarters. And then Europe, I feel like it's funny enough that that's the one category revenues did rise in, and that's at a time also where they're cost cutting a lot there. So I feel like that's part of the losses, but definitely something to keep an eye on, this segment by segment information. But kind of like some of the other numbers, it's hard to really take these with too many grains of salt. I guess that's one way to put it, because it's going to keep fluctuating right now as things continue to adapt. Odds of GME this year, dividend this year, yay or nay? Powerhouse, I'm going to say nay. I think dividend is something that comes like a few years from now when things are really rocking and rolling and there's not really the best place to put your cash. Like right now, GameStop can continue to earn a lot of interest on their cash. They can keep a strong balance sheet. They can keep themselves in a position to repurchase shares if the stock price continues to decline, if their cash flow continues to be positive, things like that. So I feel like that's something that's a few years out, honestly. But business priorities, I feel like I've gone through that before. So results of operations, again, to get to percentages here, like I was talking about, the gross profit percentages, what I calculated before. So gross profit increase, but keep in mind the top line decrease. So I'd really like to see this again be 25. I feel like that would be nice. And then operating loss, you see that improve. So that's definitely good. And again, down here, the bottom line. But if you look at percentages and then you look at SG&A, which is what we've been focused on, significantly less in terms of percentages. And look at this massive change here. So see how GameStop's showing it all in terms of percentages? I really feel like that's them saying, hey, well, this is the action we're taking right now. Of course, they're not saying that in an earnings call just because, again, no matter what they say, it'll be just twisted in a certain type of way. Like to kind of show something I was going to pull up before. Whoop. Nothing ever wants to go smooth. So Larry Chang buying shares. And then I like this quote. I always say it. Insiders might sell their shares for any number of reasons, but they buy them for only one reason. They think the price will rise. How many shares have been sold by insiders in the past 12 months at GameStop? How many have really been sold in general since 2021? Comparison to buys? Exactly. But, motherfucker, do you know how to spell debt free? GameStop GME recently replaced CEO Matt Furlong for its former general counsel, a practice that usually signals bankruptcy. Like, they just make stuff up. Like, it's so funny. Such a funny thing. Like, it's just comical to look at sometimes. And then I like this one, too. GME shares are traded higher by 6.29% to 24.10 going into the close of Monday's session. The stock is trading higher on upward momentum following the company's first quarter results announced last week and the appointment of Ryan Cohen as executive chairman, terminating its former CEO. I thought that was negative next week. There was a gazillion articles on that. Last week. How about mentioning the insider buys, right? Like this is how, like them without without my contacts or glasses is how they view. They're like, oh, what is this? Insider transaction? Yep. Whatever. That's how they view it. That's how they treat GameStop, the mainstream media. It's comical. It's comical. They just never cover it accurately, and that's partly why I like covering it, because I'm like I could just truly cover it how I feel, and there's not a main media source actually covering it. You have individuals like myself, Marantz Rants, Richard Newton, the Lightning Warrior, just sharing what we think, right? And we're just average individual people. I wouldn't say average, right? I'd like to think we're intelligent individuals. That's not my point, but I say we're not anybody special. We're not like news networks or something like that, and we're just giving like a real point, real vision of what we actually think is happening, type of thing, as individuals. So that's why it's just comical, and the media just makes it better for me as someone on YouTube. I feel like, because people are like, okay, well, this is not really what's going on. If I want to see what's actually going on, maybe I should look on YouTube, things like that. So random rant there. And then segments of revenue. Remember, say GameStop had about 2/3 in the United States, about 18% in Europe. So percentage of net sales for the same quarter last year, you can see the difference. So net sales decreased 10.3%. Definitely, again, not what they wanted to see. But again, I think it's just the market as a whole right now are just non-essential items not as strong. But as GameStop continues to develop things like GameStop Player and shift their business into having more products, having more sources of revenue, such as GameStop Player, and just tying a lot of things together, I really feel like that's the X factor in a time we're in now, where reality is retail sales are probably not going to start increasing anytime in the near future. So it's really going to take the continued cost cutting throughout the rest of the year. And I feel like they can only cost cut so far, right? So it really starts to become about growth this year. It absolutely does, in my opinion. And it absolutely takes these things like GameStop Player rolling out and going into effect, and individuals wanting to play GameStop Player, try GameStop Player, simply because it's GameStop, and just growing popularity and growing use of digital products is how they're going to be able to ultimately improve their margins and start increasing revenue consistently over time. Because again, you can only cost cut so far. Retail's not in the great spot right now, where American consumer spending in general and just worldwide spending is just not what it was a year ago. And I don't think it's projected to be that great the rest of this year or next year, just because of the craziness in the world, right? So the cool part is for me, or cool part to me about GameStop is you have leadership, in my opinion, who's very in touch with everything, such as that. So they're taking the company into these new avenues of business, and the potentials of making acquisitions are there. Future share buybacks, things to deliver value despite their OG legacy business starting to, just kind of, not I want to say fall off, but just kind of going to be is what it is. Like it's not really just, it's not in a spot where it's just going to be able to start growing tons of retail sales, right? It's just not realistic for GameStop sales to be up, or our top line to be up 25% next year just on crazy e-commerce boost, unless they make an acquisition, they start selling an entirely new category of products of some kinds, unless something like that happens. But again, that's where management comes into play and trusting the people running the company to make the proper decisions. And that's why it's important to believe in Ryan Cohen. And it's like the narrative of, oh, he thinks he can do whatever he wants. It's like, well, he kind of does own over like 10% of the company, like 11%, right? And now he's CEO. So yeah, he kind of can, but also he's kind of not going to just shoot himself in the foot when he owns so much of the company's outstanding stock. Like it would just make no sense. But then this is cash flows, just consolidated to the bottom line numbers. I'm back. Welcome back, Marantz. Glad to see you, man. For real, for real. The Matrix has you. XFit talking Matrix in here. It's funny to think how many people have that purple GME, don't own a computer share, no other shares, just GameStop. It's true, Sir Moist. Yeah, because there's a lot of individuals, I think, that are invested in GameStop that aren't invested in other stocks, and in general, probably don't have that much interest in the market as a whole, or they've found GameStop and then found interest in the stock market as a whole. So I do think it is definitely interesting, though, the amount of people getting involved in computer share and just getting involved in owning the idea of owning stocks and understanding what it means to own a stock, or wanting, like, caring about how you own the stock too. So people choosing to go to a computer share, choosing directly registering their name because that's a decision they want to make to withdraw from the DTC. So it's an individual decision. So somebody previously might have thought like, oh yeah, I'll just buy like some stocks or whatever. But now someone's like, okay, well, I'm involved in GameStop here. I'm trying to pay attention to what's happening. I'm trying to understand how my ownership of my share works, where I want it, where I feel good as an individual. So it's more in-depth thinking, and that's why I think it's comical, the idea of the constant narrative of, oh, those people just bag holding, or oh, those silly apes, right? Those silly stupid old apes, and all this like grouping of people, when it's like, I'm trying to look at the numbers. I'm trying to improve myself as an individual. I'm trying to understand my best investment better and better day by day. And I feel like there's tons of other people out there like that. And it's just dismissed by the mainstream media, being like, oh, those GameStop people, that Ryan Cohen just doing whatever he wants out there, as if he doesn't own the largest amount of shares of any individual or um, brokerage, or not, sorry, not brokerage. What's it called? BlackRock, Vanguard, all of those. hedge funds. Is that it? Yep. I think that was pretty much it for what I wanted to go through. But, there's always more to go through, and I try to just kind of keep it going through as much as possible. In November 2021, we entered into a credit agreement for a second secured asset-based credit facility comprised of a 500 million revolving line of credit, which matures in November 2026. The 2026 revolver. The 2026 revolver includes a 50 million swing loan revolving subfacility, a 50 million Canadian revolving subfacility, and a 250 million letter of credit subliminate. At the end of the first quarter of 2023, based on our borrowing base and amounts of reserves for outstanding letters of credit, total effective availability under the 26 revolver was 436.2 million, with no outstanding borrowings and outstanding standby letters of credit of 13.8 million. Separate issuance of letters of credit and bank guarantees, at times supported by cash collateral. We had bank guarantees outstanding amount of 16 million outside of the 2026 revolver. So what that basically says right here is if the company wanted, they could go out tomorrow and take out a loan through their revolver in about the amount of 436 million. But I don't see why they would do that, especially in this high interest rate environment. But it's nice to know, if it's a lower interest rate environment, there's an acquisition on the table. There's the time to strengthen their balance sheet because the interest rate environment's now low again. Thinking long term, they have the revolver, right, for several more years. So they do have it in place. But also, again, just another little detail to understand, all companies generally have this in place, even if they don't have debt. And in the case I kind of mentioned before about that company, Fortinet, I'm sure they had the revolver in place. I don't have the exact details off that on top of my head, but evidently they were setting up for taking on that debt because if you missed it before, I was saying they only had one debt taken. One time they ever taken, I can't talk right now. I'm jumbling words. The first time they ever took on debt was in late 2021. They took it on at such a low interest rate, so they're able to strengthen their balance sheet, foreseeing rising interest rates and wanting to strengthen their balance sheet. So, again, why I was saying that before is because it's an example of a company's management team foreseeing things and just putting the company in a position to be at better success. And now they can use that cash for share buybacks, potentially if Fortinet wanted to do a dividend, right? Things of that nature, whatever it may be. But again, that's a completely different story. Just a random example, but I don't know, just trying to, always explain how I'm personally piecing things together. Sometimes I'm just speaking out loud, just explaining how I'm understanding things sometimes, and even in real time and just over time. But the Matrix has you, Morpheus. Insider buying means bankruptcy. That was running yesterday. CTHEN. Cathen. I'm not sure what you mean by that. I don't know what that means. That seems like I think you have to read what you said again. But good day, sir. Most companies have debt before they go through bankruptcy. Exactly. Exactly. Most, I'm pretty sure 100%. Exactly, Darth. You guys are saying it, not me. I'm working on a GME Fundy video. It was a Spaces Call 1v1 with Rod Alsman. I think I won the combo. I'm very interested, Marantz. All right, let's see it. I got to catch your conversation from tonight. Sorry, last night. I got that purple donut. Still have 9 shares of Fidelity as an experiment. A lot more computer share. Ben, I'm happy for it. It's all about knowing yourself as an individual. For me, I've chosen to directly register shares, but then also I have many shares in IRAs, traditional and Roth. So those shares are I'm not choosing to directly registered. I don't want to go through all that. So got a lot of shares in IRAs that are not registered and for the long term. But then also I have a lot of shares that are in computer share. I would say, not say, it is a majority of my shares in computer share in my name. So that's where I'm at as an individual. But it's always good to know yourself. Is there some sort of gaming news coming out soon regarding GameStop, new platform? So Powerhouse, GameStop is launching something called GameStop Player. It looks to be generally a competitor to Steam in terms of a game client, but it seems like it's going to have a lot of other things involved in it as well, including but not limited to streaming, NFT marketplace, GameStop wallet connecting, Web3 games, community type of things like being able to converse, trade amongst individuals that are in games or on the client together, things like that. So that's what I think it's going to kind of be. It's just some general thoughts, but we're really going to see. And a lot of the patents that have to do with Teddy, I believe it is, I'm starting to see are set to become active in early July, right after 4th of July. So that's interesting. G America, is there something there? Is Matt Furlong not gone for long and actually going to be with Teddy? That's possible. I would say, but I don't have any evidence to support that. That's just pure speculation. But there's still even the possibility. I know Morantz actually brought this up a while back, say the idea that Ryan Cohen could be, building Teddy on the side and just some parts of the future of what GameStop's trying to do, and then GameStop can come out and acquire Teddy, and then it just kind of comes all together with everything they're building at the same time. When does it release? Powerhouse, there's no date yet. But I'm theorizing it's going to be at the end of the month. I think that would be pretty awesome. But again, that's complete theory with literally no idea behind it. So that's just a guess. But we'll see. Gotta roll. Good shit, Tetron. Darth, thank you for being here. Hope you have a good night, man. But yeah, I'm actually going to wrap it up soon, guys, because trying to really work on making the streams, quality. I feel like I get rambly for too long and I just go on and on. And also, I feel like I mostly covered what I wanted to cover today. Just giving opinions of it line by line in terms of the earnings report. But overall, the more I look at it, the more I think, damn, there's still a lot more work for the company to do. This turnaround is still got to keep going. I know I've kind of saying, 2023 is where they really got to like kind of push, grow, and go beyond. But 2023 really seems like it's still part of the transition. But I really think the back half of this year, especially if we can have a strong Christmas season, could really drive them to be net profitable going forwards. And it's really just being able to maintain it even as there's differences, or I should say consumer changes, consumer spending habit changes over time just due to the market and economy as a whole. So, yeah, that's kind of what I got for today. So, I do want to see the numbers continue to improve, of course, and looking at them as a whole, looking at them in depth, I think it could have been a little better, or maybe my expectations were just a little bit too high for the time being. But as a whole, I still feel like they're moving in the right direction. I absolutely do think that. So, especially this improvement here with U.S. operations. I think that's definitely the number one thing in terms of regional, looking by region. And it's just going to be brick by brick, right? And if Des Bryant tweeted brick by brick, maybe I got to hit him up for an interview. It seems pretty cool. So, yeah. But hope everyone has a good night out there. I think that's it for here. Let me see any other like memes or something. Did I have anything else up? Nope. Let's just see GME's volume for today. See Theta Gang. Have patience. Once the place releases content that produces returning customers, it will make a profit. Remember, we are in beta. Exactly, Xbit. This party's just getting started. I think you're absolutely right. Also, they should raise rates to 4 or 5%. Yeah, honestly, I think you think another 4 or 5% rates could go up. I mean, maybe it'd be crazy, but I wouldn't rule anything out. And damn, if only this 1 and this 4 were switched. I wish it was up 0.741%. Good stuff. Good stuff, Tetron. I'm out. Have a good night. Powerhouse, thanks for being here. For real. Have a good night. And today, 7.1 million volume, so decent volume. And keep in mind, I think a Form 4, look at this trend up. So clean after earnings. Just kind of like back to business as usual with the climbing. Incredible. And just a little bit of volume coming back. A little bit. That's interesting. Almost $7.41 billion market cap. But what was I going to say to kind of close it out here? We got this steady climb. Damn, I had one more thought to give. Oh, if Ryan Cohen did in fact buy shares today, or any other insider bought, we might not get the filing until tomorrow night. So that would be interesting. Or it'd be just amazing to wake up tomorrow to a Form 4 filing. Ryan Cohen acquires 10,000 shares, right? 10,000 shares would be nothing to him. But just the fact he chose to buy more, even if it was only 10,000 shares, it'd still be great, right? Any amount of shares is still an insider buy. Like, I know there's going to be the naysayers out there that are going to be like, oh, that's nothing for Larry Chang. 5,000 shares? That's nothing. That costs him, like, it's pennies to him. Okay, but when you build wealth, like if you acquire a lot of money and you built your wealth up, would you just start throwing it out for the sake of throwing it out? You still put your money where you believe it's best. So just the fact insiders are buying, you don't decide. Like, it's still like hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I just laugh at stuff like that. But that's where I'm at, guys. Hope this analysis / breakdown made sense, helped you out in just understanding things. And like I said, I'm just trying to improve over time and go through things and stream day by day, build Tetron brick by brick, just like GameStop. So I think overall, there's a lot more work for the company to do. Absolutely. Maybe I was getting a little bit too excited, so I think this earnings report's a little bit of a reality check, but I still believe in management and where the company's going, and it's not always going to be perfect, right? And that's why I'm in it for the long term, because I think the short term, there's going to be hiccups, and short term, I'm going to misinterpret things, but that's why I'm in it for the long term. So if there's a short term hiccup, I don't have to worry. But thank you so much for watching. Hope everyone has a good night.